Usually when we talk about planning a major event, like a
Yeah.
luxury wedding or, I don't know, a massive corporate gala or something.
Right, those really high stakes
Yeah,
events.
exactly. There's this shared dread that we all just kind of accept as part of the social contract.
Oh, I know exactly what you're going to say.
Right. Like you walk into the reception hall, you find your table, you do the obligatory small talk, and then eventually you're directed to the line.
The dreaded buffet line.
The buffet line. It's practically an institution at this point. You grab this cold, heavy plate, and you just kind of shuffle past those silver chafing dishes.
With the little blue flames underneath.
Yes, the little sterno flames.
Yeah.
And you scoop up some, I don't know, lukewarm chicken that's just been sitting there, slowly coagulating for who knows how long.
Yeah, it's really not an experience at all.
No, it's just processing calories.
Yeah.
You're basically like livestock at a feeding trough, just wearing a nice suit.
Well, I mean, it's a purely logistical necessity in the traditional catering model because it's entirely about moving 200, maybe 300 people through a feeding station.
Just as fast as humanly possible.
Exactly. As efficiently as possible.
Yeah.
And the casualty of that efficiency is, well, it's almost always the sensory experience of the meal.
Right. Because they don't care about the vibe.
No, the traditional caterer's primary goal is temperature maintenance, not, culinary elevation. They're literally just trying to ensure the hot food doesn't get too cold and the cold food doesn't get too warm.
The actual joy of eating is totally secondary.
Completely secondary. Yeah.
Exactly. It's purely functional. It's food as fuel, not food as joy. But then, you step into the world of modern luxury event planning, and suddenly that entire paradigm is just flipped upside down.
Oh, totally flipped.
We're looking at a culinary landscape for events that's shifting from merely feeding people to actively mesmerizing them. We're talking about the complete destruction of the hidden catering kitchen.
It's the absolute definition of experiential dining. I mean, the modern consumer has evolved.
Right.
The food is no longer just the fuel for the event, awkwardly squeezed between the speeches and the dancing. The food is the event. It's the entertainment. It's the icebreaker.
And that is exactly what we are exploring today. So if you've ever found yourself, struggling with how to plan an unforgettable event, specifically a wedding, and you're desperately trying to avoid that boring buffet line, you're going to want to hear this.
Because there is a very specific, very effective solution.
Yes. And to figure out how we escape this catering nightmare, we are looking at a really fascinating trend analysis from Weddizer. Now, if you are deep in the trenches of event planning, you probably already know that the Weddizer website is like an absolute lifesaver.
Oh, it's essential.
Right. It's essentially the ultimate go-to platform for finding the best hiring guidance for wedding events. And specifically, we're pulling from their niche food and drink article section.
Which is where you find the really cutting-edge stuff, the things that actually work for modern crowds. Yeah.
Exactly. It's where event planners go when they need real solutions. And today, we're focusing on one of their top recommendations for elevating an event, which is live sushi and sashimi rolling demonstrations.
It's a brilliant pivot for the industry, honestly. And what this Weddizer analysis highlights is a massive, broader shift in global food culture.
How so?
Yeah.
Like beyond just weddings.
Yeah, beyond weddings. The modern consumer, whether that's a modern wedding guest, a corporate client, a festival attendee, they're demanding so much more than just, a good-tasting meal on a white plate.
Right, the bar has been raised.
Exactly. There's an absolute demand for experience, for storytelling, and above all, for authenticity. They don't just want to know what they're eating. They want to actually witness its creation.
Okay, let's unpack this, because we're talking about taking something deeply traditional, right? Like Japanese culinary craftsmanship, which is historically very quiet, very intimate, and highly controlled.
Very controlled, yes.
And we're taking that and placing it right in the middle of a bustling, high-energy, potentially chaotic environment like a wedding reception. But the guidance here makes a really compelling case that live sushi stations are completely redefining modern culinary entertainment.
They absolutely are. They're transforming luxury catering from just a simple meal into a memorable performance.
So how did this specific interactive Japanese culinary experience catch fire globally? Like, what's the psychology behind it?
Well, to understand why this is trending so heavily, we really have to look at the multisensory nature of what's actually happening at these stations.
The multisensory aspect.
Yeah. When you hire a live sushi rolling demonstration, you aren't just paying for the fish, the rice, and the seaweed. You're paying for a multisensory theater. You're activating senses that traditional catering deliberately, almost aggressively suppresses.
Theater is the perfect word for it. It really highlights the contrast. Like traditional catering is kind of like watching a movie on an airplane.
Oh, that's a great comparison.
You're boxed in, the screen is tiny, the food comes in a weird foil wrapper, and you're just trying to pass the time until you land.
Just surviving the flight.
Right. But a live sushi station, that is like sitting front row at a Broadway show where you actually get to eat the props.
I love that. Eat the props.
Yeah. I mean, imagine you're at a wedding. Would you rather wait in a line, holding an empty plate, staring at the back of your uncle's head, or would you rather watch a master artist perform a physical craft right in front of you?
I think most people would choose the performance every single time because human beings are just naturally drawn to witnessing mastery.
We really are.
And the sensory theater we're talking about is incredibly complex. First, obviously, there's the visual appeal of the preparation itself.
The aesthetics of it.
Right. You're watching a master at work. You're observing the vibrant contrasting colors of the raw fish. You've got the deep crimson of the tuna, the bright orange of the salmon, the stark white of the rice. It's just visually arresting.
It's beautiful.
But beyond the visual, there's the olfactory element.
The smell, which, let's be honest, is usually the absolute worst part of a buffet.
Precisely. I mean, what do you smell at a traditional buffet?
Sterno. Just burning fuel.
Yes. You smell chafing fuel. You smell the metallic tang of those silver heat lamps. And you smell overcooked meat just sitting in its own juices. It's heavy and lethargic before you even take a single bite.
It really is. It makes you tired just smelling it.
Exactly. But at a live sushi station, the aromatic profile is completely different. The freshness of the seafood is incredibly distinct. It smells clean, bracing, and appetizing. It smells like the ocean.
It's a completely different atmospheric vibe. And then there's the auditory component, which I hadn't even really considered until I started digging into this material from Weddizer.
It's a surprisingly huge part of the experience.
Right. Like, we think of food as taste and smell, mostly. But the sound of a live sushi station is wild. It's that distinct, crisp sound of the chef's knife cutting cleanly through the meki roll.
The tapping on the board.
Yes, that rhythmic, almost percussive tapping of the blade against the wooden cutting board. It is genuinely hypnotic.
It creates a rhythm, yes,
Yeah.
like a culinary heartbeat in the middle of the room, and it draws people in like a magnet.
It really does.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, making the food preparation visible and audible actually increases customer satisfaction and the perceived value of the event immensely.
Just because they can see it happen.
Yes, it's a crucial psychological shift. Think about it. When food is prepared behind closed doors, in some hidden kitchen, the guest has absolutely no connection to the effort, the skill, or the quality of the ingredients.
Right, it's just a magical, anonymous plate that
Yeah.
suddenly appears from behind a swinging door. You have no idea if it was made by a master chef or assembled by, like, a tired teenager on a conveyor belt.
Exactly. The human element is entirely erased. But when you pull back that curtain, when you place the chef directly in the room with the guests, you're doing so much more than just feeding them.
You're engaging them.
You're educating the audience. You are fostering a sense of cultural appreciation and a really deep respect for the ingredients.
Because they see the work going into it.
Exactly. The guest inherently understands the value of what they're consuming because they literally just watched the meticulous physical effort required to create it. And there's a profound, well-documented psychological effect here. Food simply tastes better when you appreciate the craftsmanship behind it.
Wait, really? It actually tastes better.
Yeah, your brain primes your palate to experience higher quality. It's a known cognitive bias.
That is so interesting, and we absolutely cannot ignore the modern reality of literally any event today, which is the social media factor.
Oh, you can't ignore that.
No. The Weddizer analysis explicitly points out that these colorful sushi rolls, the flash of the knife, the artistic plating, it all makes for incredibly Instagram-worthy content.
Right.
We live in an era where if it wasn't documented, it almost didn't happen.
Which inherently boosts engagement and the perceived success of the event.
It's just free PR.
It is. Whether it's a couple wanting their wedding to look spectacular and unique online, or a corporate brand wanting their networking event to go viral to show how cutting edge they are, the visual spectacle of a live sushi chef provides immediate, highly shareable content. It's dynamic. It's in motion.
It is free marketing for a corporate event, and it's basically the ultimate bragging rights for a wedding.
Yeah.
But I want to move from the spectacle to the actual mechanics of it, because the Weddizer guidance really goes out of its way to break down the art and the craftsmanship behind the counter.
It's an incredibly technical skill.
Right, because this isn't just some guy tossing a salad in front of people or carving a roast beef under a heat lamp. The skill level required is staggering.
Staggering is definitely the correct word. The specific skills a professional sushi chef must master for these live demonstrations frame this not merely as, cooking, but as a deeply rooted, highly disciplined Japanese cultural craftsmanship.
It's art.
It is. This is not something you learn in a weekend seminar. The text outlines 4 specific pillars of live chef skills that are absolutely required to pull this off successfully in a high-volume event setting.
And looking at these 4 pillars, it is intense. We have knife precision, rice preparation, speed and efficiency, and finally, presentation skills.
And looking closely at these 4 pillars reveals a fascinating, almost paradoxical tension.
What do you mean?
Well, the chef is tasked with maintaining traditional, meticulous artistry, which historically demands slow, deliberate focus, while simultaneously catering to a hungry crowd at a fast-paced food festival or a bustling luxury wedding.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that tension right there between speed and efficiency and precision, it seems almost impossible to navigate.
It is incredibly difficult.
Like, how do you move fast enough to feed 200 eager wedding guests who have been, drinking champagne for an hour without turning your beautiful art form into a messy fast food assembly line? I feel like something has to give.
That is precisely where the years, often decades, of mastery come into play. A true sushi chef has internalized the precision to such a degree that speed does not degrade the quality.
It's just muscle memory at that point.
Exactly. Their muscle memory is so highly developed that the exact angle of the knife, the exact pressure of the fingers on the rice, it becomes autonomic. And we really need to look specifically at the first pillar, knife precision.
Because it's not just about looking cool.
No, the guidance makes a critical point here that goes far beyond aesthetics. Slicing with extreme accuracy is not just about making the fish look pretty on the plate.
Right. It's not just about getting a perfectly rectangular, photogenic piece of salmon.
No, it's fundamentally about the chemistry of the food. Accurate, precise slicing physically preserves the cellular structure, the texture, and the flavor of the fish.
Wait, the cellular structure, like physically.
Exactly. Think about it like trying to cut a very ripe, soft tomato. If you use a dull butter knife, you have to press down really hard.
Right. Yeah, you just end up squishing it.
You crush the tomato, you tear the skin, and all the juices bleed out onto the cutting board, leaving you with a mushy mess.
Oh, wow. So if a sushi chef has a dull knife or sloppy technique, they are actually bruising the meat of the fish.
Effectively, yes. They are causing cellular trauma. Tearing the flesh rather than slicing cleanly through it releases vital oils and alters the texture at a microscopic level.
That is wild. I never thought about that.
It makes the fish mushy and severely compromises the delicate flavor profile. A master chef's razor-sharp knife and precise pulling cut they don't saw back and forth. They slice in one fluid. Motion seals the flavor in.
It seals it in. Wow.
It maintains that perfect melt-in-your-mouth texture. That is why knife precision matters. It's a strict functional requirement for flavor preservation, not just a visual flourish for the audience.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting to me, though. We always focus on the fish, right?
Sure, the fish is the protein.
The fish is the star of the show. We look at the knife, the slicing, the dramatic, visual part of the performance. But the second pillar mentioned in the Weddizer's guidance is rice preparation.
Oh, the rice is everything.
The text notes the perfect balance of vinegar, sugar, and salt. It really feels like the complex chemistry of the rice is the unsung hero of the entire sushi experience.
It is the absolute foundation. In fact, linguistically and historically, the word sushi actually refers to the sour vinegared rice itself, not the raw fish.
Wait, really? The word sushi means the rice?
Yes. The fish was originally just a way to preserve the rice. Mastering the rice is often considered significantly more difficult than mastering the knife.
More difficult than the knife skills. Why is that? I mean, it's just boiling rice.
Because it is a highly volatile chemical equation. It's not just boiling. The chef has to manage the exact temperature of the water, the specific starch content of the short grain rice, and the precise ratio of vinegar to sugar to salt to achieve the correct pH balance.
Okay, so it's literal chemistry.
It is. The vinegar acts as an antimicrobial agent, which historically preserved the food, but it also fundamentally alters the flavor profile. And then there's the physical technique. When the seasoning is added, The rice must be gently folded, sliced through with a wooden paddle.
All right, I've seen them do that in those big wooden tubs.
Yes, the hangiri. And it must be sliced and folded, never stirred.
Why can't you stir it? It's just rice.
If you stir it, you crush the grains.
Oh, like the tomato again.
Exactly. Crushing the grains releases excess starch, turning the rice into a sticky, gelatinous paste rather than individual, perfectly seasoned grains that hold together just enough to form a shape.
That makes total sense. Nobody wants mushy rice.
If the rice is too dense, it ruins the mouthfeel. It feels like a heavy brick in the mouth. If it's too loose, the roll literally falls apart in the guest's hands before they can even eat it.
So when you are utilizing a platform like Weddizer to hire a live sushi station for your event, you aren't just hiring a caterer. You are really hiring a master of chemistry, biology, and physics.
And logistics, honestly.
Yeah, operating in real time, under immense pressure while people are just staring at them. And then on top of all that science, they have to plate it aesthetically. That fourth pillar, presentation skills, so it looks like a delicate work of art.
Exactly. They're scientists and artists simultaneously, which actually brings us to the most critical, foundational component of the entire operation.
The ingredients.
Yes. The medium for this art is the ingredients. You cannot paint a masterpiece with mud.
Absolutely. The ingredient equation is vital. And the Weddizer guidance is very clear, like almost adamant, that high-quality, exceptionally fresh ingredients are entirely non-negotiable. You cannot cut corners here.
And that presents a massive, almost terrifying logistical challenge when we're talking about live events. Think about the reality of the supply chain.
Right, getting the fish to the party.
You're bringing highly perishable, premium seafood into a dynamic live event, setting a wedding reception in a tent, a corporate gala in a rented warehouse, a crowded food festival outdoors.
It is a completely different ballgame. It's not like bringing in, a giant wheel of Parmesan cheese or a massive tray of baked goods where room temperature is perfectly fine.
Precisely. The freshness isn't just about taste. It is the core of the culinary art, and it's a strict health and safety mandate.
Because obviously, raw fish.
Yes. If the ingredients are even slightly compromised, the entire experience collapses and you risk making your guests very ill.
Which is the ultimate event nightmare.
Exactly. The logistics of the cold chain, maintaining absolute unbroken temperature control from the moment the fish leaves the ocean, onto the plane, to the distributor, to the catering truck, right up until the precise moment the chef's knife touches the fish in front of the guest. It is an absolute marvel of modern event planning.
It's a high-wire act without a net. And the text actually lists the specific star ingredients that are typically featured at these luxury stations. So let's walk through them, because it's good to know what you're actually hiring for.
Right, the staples of the station.
We have tuna, known as maguro, which is usually that deep ruby red color. We have salmon, or sake. Yellowtail, known as hamachi, which has a richer, almost more buttery flavor.
Hamachi's fantastic.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Then eel, which is unagi, often served cooked with a sweet glaze. And of course, the foundational seaweed, the nori.
And right here, the analysis makes an incredibly important distinction that event planners and guests absolutely need to understand.
What's that?
The fundamental difference between sushi and sashimi.
Right. I think a vast majority of people use those two terms entirely interchangeably. They just think raw fish at a Japanese restaurant equals sushi.
Yes, that's a very common misconception.
They are very, very different culinary experiences. Sushi, as we established, is a seasoned rice paired with the ingredient, whether that's rolled up tightly in the nori seaweed or draped beautifully over a small hand-formed bed of rice, which is called nigiri.
What's fascinating here is the deep philosophical difference between the two preparations.
The philosophy of it. Yep.
Yes. While sushi is about the complex harmony of multiple interacting elements, the slight acidity of the seasoned rice, the umami of the seaweed, the texture of the fish, perhaps a sharp touch of wasabi or a delicate glaze.
Right, it's a combination of flavors.
Exactly. But sashimi is a profound exercise in absolute minimalism.
Because sashimi is purely the raw fish slices with minimal seasoning, right? Like no rice at all, just highlighting the natural flavors of the protein itself.
Yes. Sashimi strips away everything. There's absolutely no rice to hide behind. There are no complex spicy mayonnaise sauces or crispy tempura flakes to distract the palate or mask a subpar ingredient.
It's just you and the fish.
It demands absolute perfection from the raw ingredient alone. The quality of the maguro or the hamachi must be utterly flawless, and the chef's knife precision must be completely impeccable because there is literal nothing else on the plate to draw the eye or the taste buds. The vulnerability of the dish is its strength.
That is a beautiful way to put it. The vulnerability of the dish. So if you're a guest standing at this live station, taking in this multi-sensory theater, what stands out to you?
That's the real question.
Right. Do you gravitate toward the complex, colorful rolls where all these distinct flavors and textures are dancing together in harmony? Or do you go for the sheer minimalist purity and bravery of the sashimi? It's almost a culinary personality test right there at the food station.
It really is, and it effectively offers something for everyone, which is another major reason it's so highly recommended by Weddizer for diverse guest lists. But there is another significant driver behind this trend, beyond just the exquisite taste and the theatrical performance.
Oh, the health aspect.
Yes, the nutritional profile.
The text leans heavily into the health and nutrition benefits of sushi, and I honestly think this is a game changer for event food. Because we have all been to that beautiful, really expensive wedding where you eat the heavy butter-basted steak, the garlic mashed potatoes, the rich fondant-covered cake.
And you just hit a wall.
Exactly. By 9:00 p.m., you are physically exhausted. You're ready to unbutton your pants and fall asleep at table 4.
It's the dreaded lethargic aftermath of traditional event catering.
Lethargic aftermath, exactly.
The heavy carbohydrate and saturated fat load diverts massive amounts of blood flow to the digestive system, which effectively shuts down the guests' energy levels.
Which ruins the party. You can't network, you can't dance, you just want to go home and lie down.
But the guidance highlights that sushi completely bypasses this issue. It's rich in incredibly healthy omega-3 fatty acids. It's a high-quality lean protein. It's inherently a low-calorie meal option. And it contains vital, essential vitamins and minerals from the seaweed and the seafood.
So it's actively good for you.
Yes. And health-conscious consumers, which make up a massive portion of the modern luxury demographic, are heavily driving this trend.
That makes total sense.
People want to attend a luxury event, they want to feel pampered, they want to consume premium expensive food, but they absolutely do not want to feel physically weighed down or gross afterward.
Right. They want to keep the night going.
Exactly. Sushi offers a luxurious, highly premium feel without that heavy aftermath. It allows the guests to maintain their physical energy and mental sharpness. They can eat a deeply satisfying, complex meal and still have the energy to get out on the dance floor until midnight or actively, sharply network at a high-stakes corporate event.
Which perfectly transitions us into looking at the modern event landscape as a whole. Like, where is this actual paradigm shift taking place? The Weddizer analysis details specific venues and events where this trend is absolutely exploding right now.
It's a highly adaptable format, so it works almost everywhere.
Right. The text mentions luxury weddings, of course, where it adds a profound layer of elegance, uniqueness, and memorable entertainment.
It also mentions corporate events, where the primary goal is impressing high-value clients, showcasing modern sensibilities, and creating organic networking opportunities.
And it mentions massive food festivals, which is where those fast-paced, high-volume skills really get pushed to their absolute limits for massive crowds. And of course, luxury dining in restaurants, elevating customer engagement right there in the open dining room instead of hiding the chefs in the back.
But across all of these disparate venues, there is one unifying critical feature that this Weddizer catering guidance really champions.
Customization on demand.
Yes. Customization on demand.
Allowing guests to step up and request personalized rolls based on their specific taste preferences or, more importantly, their dietary needs. And tying this back to our original mission, utilizing Weddizer's guidance to solve event planning nightmares, this solves arguably the single biggest headache in modern hospitality.
The absolute minefield of dietary restrictions.
It is a minefield. It used to be rare, but now, if you are planning a wedding for 150 people, you are statistically guaranteed to have a highly complex web of dietary needs.
Oh, without a doubt.
You will have guests who are strictly gluten-free, guests who are pescatarian, guests who are vegan, guests who are strictly counting macronutrients, or maybe someone who has a severe shellfish allergy.
It's a lot to juggle.
Trying to manage all those specialized, heavily modified plates from a hidden, chaotic catering kitchen is a total nightmare. And usually, the result is terrible. The gluten-free or vegan guest usually just gets a sad, unseasoned piece of chicken or a plate of steamed vegetables while everyone else eats filet mignon.
It creates a stark inequality in the guest experience.
Yes. You feel punished for having an allergy.
But with a live, highly adaptable sushi station, that problem completely evaporates. The customization happens organically on the fly, directly at the station.
Because you're literally just talking to the chef.
Exactly. The guest simply speaks to the chef. I have celiac disease. Can you make this without traditional soy sauce? Or I'm strictly pescatarian. I'll take the salmon and yellowtail nigiri. Or I'm avoiding carbs. Can I just have a beautiful plate of sashimi?
And boom, it's done.
The chef accommodates it instantly, seamlessly, using the same premium ingredients as everyone else. So the guest with severe dietary restrictions feels just as pampered, seen, and valued as every other guest in the room.
Okay, I love the inclusivity of that. I really do. But I have to push back a little here on the logistics.
Okay, let's hear it.
Let's look at the reality of the room. If every single guest, all 150 people, is having a custom, individualized conversation with the chef, asking for highly personalized roles, detailing their allergies, doesn't that create a massive, catastrophic bottleneck? I mean, we started this entire deep dive talking about avoiding the dreaded buffet line. Does a custom on-demand station just create a different, perhaps even slower kind of line?
It's a very valid, incredibly practical, logistical question. And if it were a traditional buffet, a delay like that would be fatal to the event's energy.
People would riot.
Exactly. However, we have to look at how the psychological nature of the waiting completely changes in this scenario. In a traditional buffet line, you're staring at the back of someone's head, holding an empty plate, feeling frustrated and impatient.
True. You're just checking your watch. It's dead time.
It is dead time. It's a void in the event. But at a live sushi station, the inherent entertainment value fundamentally alters the psychology of the wait. You are no longer waiting. You are watching a performance.
You're in the audience.
You're seeing the flash of the master's knife. You're smelling the fresh ingredients. You're listening to the chef's educational commentary as they explain the origin of the hamachi. You're engaged.
Okay, I can see that.
Furthermore, in luxury, corporate, and bridal events, the queue for the sushi bar effectively transforms into a dynamic networking hub.
Oh, I see. It stops being a line and becomes a social gathering point.
Exactly. It turns a logistical necessity waiting for food to be prepared into a central event feature. Guests naturally chat with each other about what they're going to order.
Oh, what's that one? That looks good.
Exactly. They discuss the chef's incredible knife skills. They marvel at the visual plating of the sushi rolls the person in front of them just received. It acts as an organic icebreaker. It fosters genuine conversation in a way that shuffling silently past a static, boring buffet simply cannot.
That is a brilliant reframing. I really hadn't thought of it that way. The wait is part of the fun.
It's a feature, not a bug.
You aren't in a holding pattern. You're actively participating in the culture of the event. And that audience experience is apparently only going to get more interesting because the Weddizer analysis doesn't just look at what's happening right now. It looks deeply into the future of experiential sushi dining.
The concluding predictions from the text are quite illuminating, actually. They show an industry that is deeply, fundamentally rooted in ancient, strict tradition, yet surprisingly highly receptive to modern, cutting-edge innovation.
It's a cool contrast. The article lists several upcoming trends that are actively going to shape the future of live sushi stations. We've got AI-assisted kitchen tools, sustainable seafood sourcing, fusion sushi concepts, mobile sushi catering trucks, and virtual live sushi cooking classes.
All of which represent a fascinating evolution of culinary tourism.
Let's break these down, starting with sustainability, because that seems huge right now.
Let's start with sustainable seafood sourcing, yes. As that is rapidly becoming a strict non-negotiable for the modern luxury market, we really have to ask, how does sustainable sourcing actually change the narrative of luxury?
Because luxury used to just mean excess, right?
Historically, for centuries, luxury often implied rarity or absolute excess without any regard for consequence.
Right, like demanding bluefin tuna for your 500-person gala, no matter what the ecological cost is to the ocean. Luxury meant I get whatever I want whenever I want it.
Precisely. It was about dominance over resources. But modern luxury is evolving rapidly to include ethical responsibility and environmental stewardship.
The narrative has flipped.
The new flex isn't just having the fish, it's knowing exactly where it came from. When a live sushi chef can hand a guest a beautifully crafted piece of nigiri and tell them this specific hamachi was sustainably line-caught off the coast of Japan by a cooperative of small-scale fish